Our speaker is Reggie Pawle from Kansai Gaidai University, Hirakata-shi, Japan. Today, he presents his talk on the topic Intercultural Love in Japanese Western Marriages in Japan. Reggie Pawle taught cultural psychology at Kansai Gaidai University in Japan in 2004-2015 and at Assumption University, graduate program of counseling psychology in Thailand in 2015-2018. He has worked as a marriage and family psychotherapist in private practice in Japan and Thailand with many individuals and couples regarding relationship issues since 1999. He serves as a student counselor for foreign exchange students and works in private practice in Kyoto, Japan. His research focuses on psychological issues in the modern Asia-Western cross-cultural dynamic, including the interaction of the Zen Buddhist and Taoist traditions with the West, as well as the mystery of love in intercultural relationships. He has had articles and book chapters published in both Japan and the USA. Today he will give a talk on the topic, Intercultural Love in Japanese Western Marriages in Japan.
I'll just go ahead and play the recording, and then if there are any questions afterwards, you can go ahead and talk about or anything that comes up. Okay, so let me see. Oh, I had it. What happened to it?
Research evidence posits that love is a universal. Research evidence also points to the forms of love varying in cultures around the world. So my research question is, if love is a human universal that occurs in various forms within social contexts, then what happens to love when the Westerner and a Japanese, both being influenced by their native cultural forms of love and both living in Japan, marry? So I interviewed 13 adults, 8 Westerners, and 5 Japanese. The interviews were analyzed using a phenomenologically informed thematic analysis that focused on the lived, subjective experiences and perspectives of the participants on the given topic of love. This is an emic approach with an inductive style of research. Results suggest a diversity of ways of love, some reporting strong cultural influences, others none, some reporting a mixture. One Japanese wife said, "I don't see a real difference in cultural influence." One Western wife said, "You don't imagine that the concepts about being a couple could be so different in a different country." This is a case study of a Western man and his new Japanese wife. And one day I felt a little depressed. I came home and wanted to talk about it. She really did not want to hear it. I thought I was being the new feeling loving man, sharing my feelings. I was expecting that she would appreciate, listen, and help me sort it through. Her response was, "What do you expect me to do about it?" She took it as a criticism of her doing her job as a wife. She was supposed to anticipate my feelings and take care of or do things to help me take care of my feelings before I had bad feelings. She did want love, just a different kind. So his idea of love was connected to Western ideas of love, in which it's an adult-to-adult relationship. This is an equality kind of love that is interactive between the two people. So in this kind of love, there is a desire for physical and emotional merger and union, and an emotionally fulfilling relationship is sought, as what this Western man was trying to do. However, his Japanese wife, her ideal of love is the mother-child relationship, which is a kind of hierarchical love. In this kind of relationship, the mother actively gives love and the child receives love passively. So the mother is the above person, the child is the lower person. This has been called by Takeo Doi amai love. Amai is a Japanese word that means dependent, indulgent, and passive love. This kind of love, the child wants love without having to ask for it, so the mother has to be tuned in and pay attention, to be sensitive to the child. This is a love relationship that is given, and there's a sense of oneness without needing to speak about it or explain it. In an adult amai to amai kind of love, one person is stressed or tired or whatever, just doesn't want to do anything, and the other person is the giver who gives to to the person who needs. So you have one person who is the giver, is the above person, and the other person is the receiver. Traditionally, in adult relationships, it's the wife who is the giver and the husband is the receiver in the house. So, but Westerners spoke about how they mix this in a different kinds of way. One Western man said, there's something about our relationship that allows us to trade, you know. I'm sick, she becomes the mommy, and she's sick, I become the mommy. That's a dynamic a lot of people have trouble with in Japan. The husband has to be the boss, and the wife has to be the mommy. So several participants spoke about a Western idea that love needs to be cultivated between two adults. One Western woman said, I felt like we needed to be a strong unit. If you don't put money, the relationship is like a bank. You need to put something into it. However, for him, the relationship was a given. It didn't require work or participation in any way. So one Japanese woman spoke about her, what she called Western orientation to love. She said, I want to try to make things as equal as possible. We don't take our relationship for granted like air that's always there. Every moment we're choosing individually, trying to make something enjoyable and a challenge. In Japan, the love being given is so there's a sense of connected to commitment that requires more patience and trust because you are given things you can't get away from. So one woman spoke about how in Japan, I feel a deeper sense of commitment and trust. That means that the relationship is not put into question with every quarrel. Based on this trust, it is possible to deal with a difficult situation with more patience. A Japanese man explained, he said, first there is effort, then there's patience, then it becomes natural. Why did I marry her? I don't know. Maybe it's N. N is a Japanese word that translates as connections in relationship or sometimes as fate. It means in this context that love happens naturally. He said, if she's happy, I feel happy, so this is love. Do you trust feelings? Japanese tend to be careful with their feelings. One Western woman said, he doesn't want to know my innermost thoughts and feelings. But one Western woman said she appreciated this Japanese carefulness. She said, I don't think it helps to talk about feelings and things and problems. I've learned. My mother-in-law, who has a harmonious relationship, there's a lot of picking and choosing what to say and when to say and what's the best way. People talked about trusting feelings more in a Western kind of way of sharing. One Western man said, over time, she became more comfortable with me talking about my feelings. One Western woman said, I want that, the emotional connection, the physical connection, the intimacy. How do you show love? Commonly in Japan, one way is expressed in the Japanese word omoyari, which means thoughtfulness of others and their feelings. Some participants spoke about omoyari in practice in daily life, saying that actually it means doing something for a person without asking them about it. One Western man said, I was impressed by her omoyari. He liked the idea. But somebody else didn't like it so much. One Japanese man said that yesterday I came home before my wife, so I warmed up food for her. But his wife said, this has been a problem. Sometimes I work late and I come back and he's made me dinner and I don't want to eat it and then I feel bad. Some participants spoke about a Western emphasis on choice, the clear communication of wishes. One Western wife said, if you want to show that you're thinking about me and you want to be kind, why don't you do the things I asked you to do? Many participants reported they regularly touched each other romantically, kisses and hugs and such. But some Japanese participants were uncomfortable with romantic touch. One Japanese man said, I can't do the Western way. It's not natural. The expression of love is different. In Japan, there's the expression, the child is the pledge of love, union, and affection. This is a hierarchical type of love based on blood relationships which are given. Blood relationships are viewed to give stability to love because love is thought of as being unstable, undependable, fickle, and changeable, with a strong connection to suffering and pain. So some people like this emphasis on children. One Japanese man said the basis of marriage is children. Absolutely, children are needed. Some Westerners like this. One Western man said, We use this expression a lot in our daily life, but some Westerners struggle with this. One Western woman said, I felt like I was sidelined and that he also took a back seat and expected me to put the children first as well. The emphasis on children means responsibility is interwoven with love. This Western man said, the expression, the child is the pledge of love, means responsibility to the family. He said, foreigners have too much thinking that my happiness is more important than the concept of responsibility. This is the biggest adaptation for international marriage. Traditionally in Japan, passion has been considered dangerous. Some participants spoke about how a pragmatic approach to love is a remedy for passion. They connected low arousal feelings with practical thinking. A Western woman said, if you're looking for passion to be the root of your relationship, you'll never have one that lasts. She said, passion is replaced by mutual respect and stability. Other participants preferred high arousal feelings and romance. One Western woman said, I need praise, I need attention, I need backslapping, something. A Western man said, romantic behavior has been a bond for us. She likes it when I'm romantic. The literal meaning of the Japanese word for foreigner is outside person. In intercultural love, both people are outside people. Participants spoke about needing to adjust and have the ability to be flexible. One Western man said, I think we both made adjustments. He said, every family has a different culture. People also spoke commonly about the need to develop cognitive flexibility. One Japanese woman said, I have to be more open-minded. A Western woman said, my values have changed a lot. And a Western man said, everything is adventure. Something is unexpected. There's always something surprising, but you've got to have the right attitude. So these are two people that came from two different models of love. The Western man said, my model was my parents' relationship where they loved each other. Her model was to be different from her parents, but it worked out the same. She said she really wanted romantic love. And when she was literally within a month, probably 2 weeks from when she passed away, she said one time, I'm one who found true love. So I said, yes, I did too. This is a summary of my talk. I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, thank you. That was a fascinating ethnography. A couple of questions. The first, I think it was the first or the second slide, in which you spoke about sort of not needing to regulate a mother-child relationship because it's sort of given, granted, etc. I think you cited somebody that wrote about that. And I'm wondering about sort of subtler ways in which this kind of scrutiny does happen. I'm thinking the Obento box, for instance, in which nutrition takes a second role to the aesthetics of maternal labor and the sort of the intensity of maternal labor. And I was wondering if you see such ideological apparatus play out in the sort of romantic relationships. And then a more logistical question in terms of why you chose to say male and female instead of man and woman. What was the sort of thought process behind that?
Okay. Well, on the second question, there was no particular thought process about it. It's just what I use. It's not any particular reason for that. Regarding the first question, part of the basic finding of this, I mean, I don't think this is new, but the basic finding of this study is that there's nuances to everything, and you can't put people into categories. And there's always some subtle thing here and some subtle difference there and so on. And when two people get together, they always do it in their own particular way. So it's really, you can use categories, you can use explanations like Western styles and Japanese styles and so on. But fundamentally, I think in the end, you have to throw them all away. And it's just the interaction of two people together. And it's the same thing with this mother-child kind of love, which is very common in Japan. There are all kinds of different ways to do it, and there's a lot of subtleties with it. So,
yes, thank you. There is another question. So,
Hi, maybe I missed it, but I was wondering what was the age of these participants? What generation was this? And
No, no.
and
Yeah, go ahead.
and then what? Okay, and I have a second question. Sorry. Um, and then you mentioned children being seen as the center of marriage, and I wonder how that attitude might contribute to issues of marriage and fertility decline and kind of consternation around and resistance to marriage and having children in Japan. If you could speak to how some of these attitudes might contribute to that phenomenon.
Right. Okay. The first question relative to the age is a little more information about the participants. I think I've got it on the screen here now. The average age was, I don't think I have it here. Aged, yeah, the age was 31 to 70. And the average marriage, I mean, the marriage length was from 3 years to 34 years. But in the case of the people, the one couple that had been married for 3 years, they had lived together for 5 years before they got married, which is unusual in Japan to live together before you get married. So, and you can see the other numbers of 3 Japanese women, 2 Japanese men, and 4 Western women, and 4. And the Westerners came from North America and Europeans, and 1 person who was mixed North American European. And so the second question was, oh, why? Okay. Could you repeat it again, please?
Maybe I can repeat it. It was about children and the decline in birth rate, because in your presentation you said that children are the sort of center of the family life, and then the question was about the declining birth rate. How does it sort of connect that on one side there's so much importance to the child, and on the other side there's remarkable decline in the birth rate? Is it okay?
Well, I mean,
My
oh, yeah.
interpretation. Yes, it's enough.
Okay.
The keywords.
I think that I would say that I would think that this is part of would be part of the reason for the declining birth rate, because the sense of responsibility and all of the, in addition to the costs that go with it. Japanese take responsibility, particularly in terms of the family, very seriously. And so if you have children, you're very involved with like the mothers are much more involved with the child's education than mothers are back where I came from in America. So there's a lot of things that are expected of them, and it's part of the I don't know of any particular study that's focused on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a correlation there.
Yes. So I think the time is running out, so we have to stop. But I wanted to ask you a question, and that is about the terminology you are using. And it is like putting the whole category Westerners on one side and Japanese on other side. Could there be some other more nuanced and more appropriate terminologies? Because there's some sort of mismatch.
Well,
Just a short question to think, because
yeah, okay.
some
But
sort
this
of
is just
homogeneity which is not there.
Yeah, but this is part of the point of this. One of the points of the study. The people are Westerners. The people are Japanese that were interviewed for this study. But as I said, in the end, these things all disappear in the relationships, and it's just 2 people interacting in the end. So, but the people that were interviewed were Westerners, and the people were Japanese, and this is the particular phenomenon that I was focusing on. So,
yes. So thank you for that.
Study.
But before we leave this area, I'll just like to point out one of the resources I've used in my research about marriages across borders. And this is Steinbugler from 2012, who talks about racism in the bedroom or racism in the family life. Because we talk of individuals, but individuals are not just individuals. Their context and their placing in the society continues to be there in the marital relation, and their ongoing relation negotiations rest of the life. And I will really recommend that book, which shows how much it matters. And this is really a negation of this idea about post-racism. This is in the US context, but I have seen so many reflections in my own research also in Denmark, that we say that once you are married, you are only individuals. The individuality is there, but the whole context, all these differences continue, and especially when the children are born. Then in another sense, negotiations start. So I was just recommending that book, and maybe it's also sort of described in the book I have written. So, but now we have to move on, and it's not about my research. So we will say thank you very much to you again. Arigato and sayonara. Sayonara. Yes.
Nada.
Yeah.
Arigatou gozaimashita.
Yeah. Yes.